I'll mention it to Josh because he's so good about that. He's out of state and can't be here. Okay, I've got my ready. Good evening. It is 5:30, so we're going to go ahead and call the Ottumwa Board of Health meeting to order. I'd remind you to turn your phone to silent or vibrate, and then let's please all stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before I ask Chris to take the roll, I just want to mention that Councilman Rowe is out of state and will not be here this week, so he's been basically excused. Go ahead and take the roll, please.
Councilmember Strebe?
Here.
Councilmember Berg?
Here.
Councilmember Dalby?
Here.
Councilmember Rowe? Councilmember Stevens?
Here.
Mayor Lazio?
Here.
Approve the minutes for meeting number 10 on June 5th, 2018 as presented. Recommendation, approve the minutes.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second. Thank you.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
This is the time, place, and date set to consider condemnation of the structures on the lot located at 926 West 3rd Street.
Good evening, Jody.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
You have the floor.
Thank you very much. The house on your screen is placarded March 1st, 2018 due to abandonment. The owners are James Rupp and Kimberly Skinner, and they have told our inspectors that the house had been foreclosed on, and so they moved out of the property. But to date, there's no evidence that there has been a foreclosure. The new siding on the outside of the property looks pretty good, but there's a number of deficiencies needing to be addressed. Everything from needing a new roof to replacing exterior stairs and doors and windows. And the inspectors tell me the inside of the house has been gutted. The wiring, furnace, and hot water heater have been removed, as well as anything usable. And staff is recommending condemnation at this time.
This is a public hearing, so if there's anyone that wants to address this item, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Thank you, Skip and Holland.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Condemn the structures located at 926 West 3rd Street, order prompt demolition, removal, and leveling of the lot, and direct all costs attendant to such actions, including administrative cost, to be assessed against the property and or collected from the owner or owners thereof. Recommendation, approve the condemnation of the structures located at 926 West 3rd Street.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. Seeing no other business on the agenda, we entertain a motion to adjourn the Board of Health.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move right into the regular council meeting, and we'll need to take the roll again.
Councilmember Berg?
Here.
Councilmember Dalby?
Here.
Councilmember Rowe? Councilmember Stevens?
Here.
Councilmember Strebe?
Here.
Mayor Lazio?
Here.
Items on the consent agenda. Minutes from regular meeting number 21 on June 5th, 2018 as presented. Acknowledge May financial report and payment of bills as submitted by the Finance Department. Reappointment of Teresa Frimmel to the Cemetery Board of Trustees, term to expire 7/1/2025. Reappointment of Jeffrey Clote to the Library Board of Trustees, term to expire 7/1/2024. And reappointment of Xavier Wilson to the Waterworks Board of Trustees, term to expire 7/22/2024. Resolution number 158, 2018, authorizing payment for renewal of the city workers' compensation insurance and Chapter 411 administrative agreement for July 1st, 2018 until June 30th, 2019 in the amount of $76,323 and payment to Iowa Municipalities Workers' Compensation Association. Resolution number 159, 2018, approving a proposal from Symetra Life Insurance Company to provide life insurance benefits for full-time city employees and qualified retirees. Resolution number 171, 2018, approving the city's wellness program, one-year extension amendment to Healthy Choices Services Agreement to be provided by the Ottumwa Regional Health Center. Resolution number 162, 2018, setting July 3rd, 2018 as the date of a public hearing on the disposition of city-owned property located at 629 and 631 Grant Street. Resolution number 166, 2018, setting July 3rd, 2018 as the date of a public hearing on the disposition of city-owned property located at 718 Center Street. Resolution number 167, 2018, setting July 3rd, 2018 as the date of a public hearing on the disposition of city-owned property located at Lot 63 in East View Subdivision Number 2 in the city of Ottumwa, Wapello County, Iowa, also known as a vacant lot on J Street. Resolution number 168, 2018, setting July 3rd, 2018 as the date of a public hearing on the disposition of city-owned property located at Lot 64 in Eastview Subdivision Number 2 in the city of Ottumwa, Wapello County, Iowa, also known as a vacant lot on J Street. Resolution number 169, 2018, setting July 3rd, 2018 as the date of a public hearing on the disposition of city-owned property located at 1230 South Sheridan. Resolution number 172, 2018, setting July 3rd, 2018 as the date of a public hearing on the intent to dispose of city-owned property located at 604 East Main Street. Resolution number 174, 2018, approving the contract bond and certificate of insurance for the Bridgeview Center Power Distribution Improvements Project. Cigarette permit applications for Dollar General located at 721 North Quincy Avenue, Dollar General at 921 East Main Street, Smoke and Joe's Tobacco and Liquor at 115 Albia Road, Ottumwa Grocery LLC, 129 East 2nd Street, Iowa Liquor and Tobacco at 1021 East Main Street, Walgreens at 327 West 4th Street, Mad Avenue Quick Shop at 405 South Madison Avenue, Stop and Go Drive-Thru at 516 South Madison Avenue, Yes Way Store number 10012 at 2508 North Court, Yes Way Store number 10013 at 534 Church Street, Yes Way Store number 10014 at 502 West 2nd Street, Yes Way Store 10030 at 1317 East Mary Street, Murphy USA at 1939 Venture Drive, Walmart at 1940 Venture Drive, Fine Liquor and Tobacco at 819B Albia Road. Beer and/or liquor applications for Happy Joe's Pizza at 315 Church Street, Mike's Pizza and Steakhouse at 1111 Quincy Avenue, number 111, Yes Way Store number 10012 at 2508 North Court Street, Yes Way Store 10013 at 534 Church Street, Yes Way Store 10030 at 1317 East Mary Street, Yes Way Store 10014 at 502 West 2nd Street, Courtside Bar and Grill at 2511 North Court Street, Saints Pub at 2513 Northgate with extended outdoor service area for 7/1/2018, Main Street Ottumwa 217 East Main Street, extended outdoor service area for 6/29/2018, Hy-Vee Chamber Rodeo 2425 Emma Street with a temporary outdoor service area on 7/7/2018. All applications pending final inspections.
Is there a motion?
Move the consent agenda as presented, Your Honor.
Second.
I understand that Councilman Stevens has a question.
Yes. A big portion of these properties have been requested by the Ottumwa School District for their building and trades program. offering us $1 for each lot. I've talked to City Attorney Joni Keith and also Kevin Flanagan. I'm all in favor of this. I think it's a win-win situation for everyone involved. If I remember correctly, in the Eastview subdivision, when we laid those out and offered those lots for sale, there was a time limit that they had to build on those lots. Also, I noted in the letter from the Nicole superintendent of the schools that they anticipate starting on one lot as early as this fall, which is great. I think there should be a time limit when they acquire these properties, or some guarantee that something will happen, or they revert back to the city in some fashion. I don't think we should put a tight time limit on it and restrict them to where it makes it difficult for them to accomplish what they want to accomplish. But I'm thinking, if the building and trades program fails, then where do we stand with those lots? I would just like the council to consider a time limit. I don't know what that should be, but I can't remember. There's, what, 7 lots involved in this? 10 years or whatever. I don't know, whatever you come up with, but I just think there should be something there to protect us. Thank you.
Jody, do you want to make some comments?
If I could make a couple of comments. Regarding the time limit on the Eastview properties, there was a time limit in the old Eastview requirements, and those expired a number of years ago. So there aren't any of those same requirements any longer in the Eastview subdivision. That being said, they've said that they want to build on these properties in the next 5 to 7 years. And so allowing them some extra time, because we all know how things happen, you know, a 10-year time frame where if they don't get all the lots built upon in 10 years and they need additional time, I'm sure they could come back to the council and request additional time.
Yes.
In the past, the school district has returned a lot to the city that they didn't build on. There was one that they acquired from us, I think for $1, and they had every intention of building on it and they didn't. And so they petitioned the city to take it back, and we brought it to the council to accept it.
I think something similar to what you just said to me.
Perhaps we could just put it in the resolution.
This is just setting the public hearing. I think it'd be better served to put that in the resolution at the public hearing.
Right.
And we can prepare documents to that effect and work with the school district on that, because it's a point well taken.
And when we bring it July 3rd, we could have it in the resolution then for all the properties.
That's great.
Okay.
Okay. Matt, did you want?
No, I knew it was a public, or we weren't voting on it tonight, but I would also say I would agree with it too. Just a quick question. We go to dispose of lots and put them up for bid for the public citizens to bid on. They usually, are looking at a couple $100, $250
Right.
for an adjacent lot, 500, is the average. And I agree too, giving, the lots to the school district for, $1 is outstanding, because, they're going to build homes on them, and it's promoting the building and trades program. But what happens? Is there anything that ties them to having to return those lots? Say the school district had 5 lots they didn't want to build on, or any other governmental agency, we, gave those for $1. They didn't use them. Is there anything that would mandatorily make them give those back to the city, or could they sell those, or what? How does that all work? That's just a question that just was brought to mind.
I'll let Kevin answer that.
Sure.
When Skip and I were talking about it, the one thing I proposed for putting in there was instead of a timeline for you have to construct by or within so many years, would be to put a provision in there that if the program were itself to become defunct, or they were to cease and desist doing the program, that they would then automatically quit deed or whatever, transfer those remaining lots back to the city. So maybe you could put both things, or one or the other. I mean, they both accomplish, I guess, the goal, but
Great.
So that's another option.
That'd be great. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Good questions, good discussion. Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve the consent agenda as presented. Made and seconded. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Thank you. Item C is approval of tonight's agenda. Is there a motion for the agenda?
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
At this time, I'd like to call on City Administrator Andy Morris and have him give us an update on some of the activities he's been involved with. So Andy, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The very first item you see listed, Mayor, though, is the Community Annual Partnership Assessment, and David Vollmer from Alliant Energy is here, so I would ask you to call him forward at this time.
Good evening, David. Glad to have you here, and you have the floor.
City Council members. My name is David Vollmer. I'm a senior key account manager taking care of Ottumwa out of the Ottumwa office here with Alliant Energy. And once a year, this is my first time to do this since I've taken over this in the last year and a half, is to provide this community annual preparedness, kind of a snapshot in time, if you would. So this is everything that happened in 2017 that you see before you with those numbers. So I'll just run through those with you real quick and see if you have any questions. But economic development support, that 2,500 is for the Ottumwa Economic Development Group as well as the Indian Hills Regional Development Group that we fund, and I sit on both of those boards to assist with what they're trying to do. Community support, that would be for the chamber, events that we sponsor, the foundation for that we give money to, in-kind donations for the Fly Ottumwa that we wired some things back there to help them with. And then environmental partnership, just an example is $1,200 we did in Eldon, but you'll probably see us come around, we rotate every year. You'll see us come through probably Ottumwa or Wapello County where we give away trees, and you'll see more of that. But it might be something that we want to look at for the city. If you've got a tree planting that you'd like to see in a different area, we need to visit about that and apply for that grant and see if we can't get some trees for that. Energy efficiency, these are energy efficiency that I work with or we have people apply for. As you know, right now we're doing the Hometown Rewards program, so none of that is reflected in these numbers, but we had 153 different rebates, totaling that we gave back 448,000, but the important thing is 4 million kilowatt hours was saved, and that reflects in there of what that is for carbon and cars or acreages of trees that were saved for that. Important for you to note is the community infrastructure investment. Last year in the Ottumwa city area, $610,000 roughly we invested in new and improved electrical infrastructure. And then taxes that you see from Alliant Energy. Ottumwa itself, $651,497, and then the greater total Wapello County is $1.2 million. Ottumwa operating facilities employs 21 people. That doesn't necessarily mean they live here, but they're from this area. And then out at the Ottumwa generating station, there's 95 people there. We're also lucky that our regional director that I know some of you have met, Matt Hansen, is out of that Ottumwa generation station, and he's quite involved, and as I am. So anytime you have any question, so Andy knows how to get a hold of me. Mayor knows my cell phone. Please don't hesitate to run me down with what we're working on. So I'll see if you got any questions for me.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, just one question, David, to follow up on what you mentioned about hometown rewards. Councilwoman Berg, the mayor, Kevin Flanagan, Jody, and I all serve on that committee. One of the items I know I reached out to you some time ago, and if you get back with me at your convenience, was in ascertaining the savings that we would obtain, as I recall, over a 2-year period, is aspirational up to 8%. At what point, and you don't have to answer this now, you may or may not know, but at what point then are we going to establish the threshold from which you will begin to measure energy savings?
It'll be from when it started, but I can get back to you on that exactly. But from my understanding, it's when we started the program. Christine that oversees that is able to calculate what that base is, and then we take in whether if a new company comes in, we factor all that in and factor it that way. So I know I'm working with Dwight quite a bit on everything we can do within the city limits with the buildings. On those, we've got the feasibility study. We looked at the HVAC and energy in this facility of what we can do to cut your energy, and we're working toward that in the near future.
No, very well, because as Dwight can tell you, I believe there were 67 projects that were identified, and I think we're now down to something like 51 or maybe 50 or something. So we're making progress on those. So I want to make sure that we start measuring it at the proper level, but I just wanted to ask you that. Thank you.
David, you might mention the public meeting coming up Thursday night.
Yeah, we have a public hearing in Fairfield on Thursday night talking about our gas rate hearing that's going on that everybody's invited to. That's put on by the Iowa Utility Board, and it's part of the rate base that we're having. We have not had a gas rate case in 6 years. Ottumwa is not a gas customer, so it doesn't affect anybody within your area, but we're asking for money that we've made improvements to the system. That's the way it works within Iowa. You make the investments and then you go back and collect on those investments. But that hearing, it will be taking place 5:30 at the Art and Convention Center.
Good. Okay. Okay. And any other questions or comments? Thank you. Come back again, and we'll look forward to more updates from you.
Thanks, everyone.
Andy, back to you.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The other items that you see listed, one is the item number 2 is a meeting with Venue Works to discuss the subsidy. Bob Jay, the finance director, and I met with Scott Holgren and some of the elements of the folks at Venue Works to talk about those subsidy limits. As some of you may recall, in the spring of 2016, myself, Councilman Rowe, Councilman Strebe helped establish certain limits in terms of what our subsidies are. They are in line with the current agreement. They opened up that contract. They have exceeded, I think, as you probably saw, I don't have the specific date, but this memo that Mr. Jay generated and sent that out to council is really happy to share with anyone else here as well. They've exceeded their limits slightly, but I think it's important to note they're still in line with the current agreement. And they have requested some additional funding for cash flow purposes. And if Bob Jay wishes to speak to that further, he can. But that's not something that'll be, quite frankly, additional revenue from the city's perspective in terms of helping them with that cash flow position. That is one item. The next item you see, item number 3, that's the construction notice policy discussion at council meeting. And you'll see on there I have listed the 3rd of July. Actually, I've shared that with the folks that have asked for that information. Again, Councilwoman Berg, Fred Zeziger, Larry Seals, myself, I think I'm missing someone, have asked them to look over that policy. I've not had anything back from them yet. At this point, Mayor, I would ask, though, if I could have the City Attorney, Ms. Keith, speak a little bit to the let's just say, policy versus something that would need to be memorialized in some sort of an agreement.
Go ahead.
Thank you. We've talked about what our current policy, we have an informal, unwritten policy internally, and we're going to put that in writing, and it will be an internal policy that our departments will be following, and we'll present that and discuss that at the meeting on July 3rd.
That is correct. It would be in a policy form. Again, I've shared that with the individuals of council. I don't know whether the council's seen all of them. I need to get that out to you all as well so you can see that. But we've identified a couple of items, I think, as you well know, that the city is already doing, but our ordinances don't speak very clearly to notifying the public, and this will, again, memorialize that. So we'll have that for your review on the 3rd. All items being equal, if council likes that, then they would approve that at the following meeting. The last item, Mayor, is one that I listed Kevin Flanagan, our city planner, obviously with us here this evening, and that is, you saw the previous report that I issued last week, was the comp plan report. To this point, I believe Kevin is reaching out to individuals, and I don't want to put Kevin on the spot. There's, what, is it 20 or so folks? It's like the Politburo, it's growing, but it's a very large committee. Anyway, he is identifying names for folks to serve on that. And once he put those names forward, then council would need to memorialize those names. Mr. Mayor and council, that's all I have. If you have any questions or comments, I'll be happy to handle those.
Any questions for Andy? Okay, thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Mayor.
Just as long as we're in that topic of reports from city officers, boards, and commission, Andy and I were talking about this sometime, and I think it's a thought I'd like to share out with the council and then get some feedback from you. I think there's a point on our agenda, we might want to add a report from the mayor just to give the council and the public some information that generally we can give you some highlights. Like today, we've had 6 or 7 meetings, and I try to work with Andy on those in terms of who's covering which meetings, but I think it'd be good for the council to have some of that benefit of that information so you can all hear it at the same time rather than trying to remember who I've talked with most recently. So maybe in the future we'll add that. I'll talk with Chris and
Mr. Mayor, not to interrupt, but as you and I talked about, what you may want to do is insert that after the petitions and communications for the public forum. We'll defer to your better judgment.
Okay, very good. Item E is an opportunity for citizens to talk about anything that's on the agenda. Is there anybody that wants to address the council about an item on the agenda? We'll recognize you later if you want to do that. Okay. All right. Let's move to item F then.
Approve the purchase of thermal optics equipment and accessories totaling $13,464 for the Ottumwa Police Department. Recommendation, approve the purchase of thermal optics equipment and accessories for the total purchase price of $13,464.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Good evening, Chief. You have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The thermal optics equipment will enhance the police department's ability to locate suspects, missing persons during operations. The optics will allow officers to see the heat differences between a person and the environment, adding another level of safety during high-risk operations. The thermal optics equipment includes a thermal weapon sight and a handheld thermal monocular. Donations from RAGBRAI in the amount of $3,521.74 and Roselands Incorporated in the amount of $500 are being used towards the purchase of this equipment. The department budgeted $10,000 for the purchase of thermal optics equipment. This is a budgeted item.
Any questions for the chief? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Bid review and award contract for the 2018 RFP number 10 Carter Avenue Street Patch and authorize the mayor to sign the contract. Recommendation, award the contract for the 2018 RFP number 10 Carter Avenue Street Patch to McClure and Company Concrete in the amount of $8,010.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. We have the privilege of Dwight Doman, city engineer, tonight. So Dwight, welcome and give us an update.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The contractor will be responsible for saw cutting, removing, and disposing of approximately 89 square yards of pavement, placing and finishing a 9-inch Portland concrete cement pavement patch on 6 inches of compacted 3/4-inch roadstone and restoration of site. An RFP was let for this work. 3 bids were received and opened on June 13th, 2018 at 2 p.m. The low bidder for the work was McClure and Company Concrete of Florence, Iowa, in the sum of $8,010. A copy of the bid tab is included in your packet.
Any questions for Dwight? Okay, take the roll.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Bid review and award contract for the 2018 RFP number 11, utility access adjustments, and authorize the mayor to sign the contract. Recommendation, award the contract for the 2018 RFP number 11, utility access adjustments to Christie Construction in the amount of $11,175.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented, Your Honor.
Second.
Any questions for Dwight? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Bid review and award contract for the 2018 RFP number 12, West Street Curb and Gutter, and authorize the mayor to sign the contract. Recommendation, award the contract for the 2018 RFP number 12, West Street Curb and Gutter to Turner Concrete in the amount of $16,650.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Matt. Go ahead, Dwight.
The contractor will be responsible for saw cutting and removing and disposing of existing pavement and placing a 30-inch wide, 7-inch thick slab with 6-inch curb and gutter on 6 inches of compacted 3/4-inch roadstone and restoration of the site. Once completed, an overlay will be performed by Norris Asphalt. An RFP was let for this work. 3 bids were received and opened on June 13th, 2018 at 2 p.m. The low bidder was Turner Concrete in the sum of $16,650. The bid tab was included in your packet.
Any questions for Dwight? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight.
This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated costs for the 1331 runway reconstruction project 2018 at the Ottumwa Regional Airport.
Good evening, Chris. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Sealed bids will be accepted until 2 p.m. on June 27th, 2018 for the reconstruction of 1331 runway at the Ottumwa Regional Airport. Specifications and plans for this project have been put together by the airport consultants, Kirk and Michael. The estimated cost for the project is $12 million. The bid report and recommendations will be brought to the council on July 3rd, 2018.
This part is a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience that wants to address this item, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Resolution number 145, 2018, approving the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated costs for the 1331 runway reconstruction project 2018 at the Ottumwa Regional Airport. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution 145, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or any comments? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the sale of city-owned property located at lots 40 and 41 and William Craner's addition to the city of Ottumwa, Wapello County, Iowa, also known as 519 Clarence Street.
Good evening, Jody. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The city received interest from 2 parties for lots 40 and 41 in William Craner's addition. And so we accepted bids until 2 o'clock, June 12th. We received 1 bid from Jeff and Laura Salter in the amount of $250 per lot for a total of $500. The Salters live next to the vacant lots, and they included a letter for the mayor and council as to why they wanted to purchase the lots. And the resolution that follows this will accept the offer.
This also is a public hearing. If there's anyone that wants to address this item. Yes, sir. Would you step to the microphone and identify yourself, please?
Hi. I am Jeff Salter. I do live at 509 Clarence Street, and just want to say that I own several lots in the area and have been paying taxes on those for quite some time. Have improved our own home. Bought a $4,500 house almost 30 years ago, and it's well over $100,000 now. That's just the house, not the garage. But anyway, so I would just like to say that I feel that we are the best stewards for this area. Topography of the land, it's not the most desirable area, but very private for us, and we like to maintain integrity of our area along with our neighbors as well. And that's our reason for wanting to pay more taxes. So anyway, just wanted to put that in there and appreciate your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Okay, let's close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you, Skip.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Resolution number 161, 2018, accepting the offer and approving the sale of city-owned property located at 519 Clarence Street to Jeff and Laura Salter for the sum of $250 per lot. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution number 161, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Holly. Any questions for Jody? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Resolution number 160, 2018, approving the third amendment to the City of Ottumwa Policy number 42, 2004, a policy for the disposition of city-owned properties. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution number 160, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented, Your Honor.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Good evening again, Jody. Go ahead.
Thank you. This third amendment to the city policy will allow any Ottumwa schools with a trades program to buy city-owned vacant lots for $1 for the purpose of building housing. And the Ottumwa Community School District intends to reactivate their building program, as you know, and there could be other entities interested in doing the same. So we wanted to leave that door open for any Ottumwa school to do that.
Any questions for Jody about this item? Seeing none, let's take the roll.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
I abstain.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution number 170, 2018, approving change order number 1 with Turner Concrete to fully utilize the grant funding available from Iowa DOT for the apron improvement project at the Ottumwa Regional Airport. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution number 170, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented, Your Honor.
Second.
Thank you. Good evening, Chris. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The City Council approved the contract in the amount of $255,705 to Turner Concrete through resolution number 140-2018 on May 22nd, 2018 for apron replacement. The allocated amount from the IDOT grant is $285,175, which allows more apron area to be replaced. Turner Concrete will be able to replace an additional 5,225 square feet for a total cost of $292,755. Bids came in lower than anticipated. It is the intent to improve as much apron surface area as possible with the current 85% grant.
Any questions for Chris? And I think it'd be worth mentioning that you did present this to the advisory board and they were in favor of this.
That's correct.
Hearing no other comments, take the roll.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Good job, Chris.
Thank you.
Resolution number 175, 2018, approving change order number 3 and accepting the work as final and complete for the beach renovations Phase 2, Contract B, 2017 project, and authorizing final payment in the amount of $6,805.41. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution number 175, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Matt. Good evening, Gene. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The beach Phase 2 renovation consists of separate contracts to address required repairs to the beach at Ottumwa, located at 101 Church Street. Contract B consisted of select piping improvements and replacing the sand water filters for the catch, kiddie, and wave pools. The City Council approved 2 previous change orders totaling $11,364.25 involving costs associated with pressure testing with repairs and replacing of broken piping materials. Change order number 3 consists of replacing a cracked pipe flange and bolts discovered servicing the catch pool for $1,194. ACO Unlimited of Johnston, Iowa has completed the above referenced work according to the plans and specifications. The final contract amount with the approved change order is $136,108.25. Approval of this resolution will recognize project acceptance. change order number 3, and authorize final payment, releasing all retainage in the amount of $6,805.41. So the revised contract amount is $136,108.25. And the Phase 2 project total to date is $692,787.71. And City Engineer Dwight Dolman has some slides to present.
We'd like to just give you a brief refresher of what the project entailed. Yeah, Gene informed you about what the summation of the project involved. You have to help me out here. We had a number of select repairs. There's a number of piping joints throughout the filter building and throughout the pool facility, actually, where the bolts have completely rusted so bad that they've actually cracked the flanges like you see here. And there were about a half a dozen of those that we went in and we replaced the flanges and put in brand new bolts there. It'd be questionable as to whether or not we'd be able to get service out of these joints this year if we didn't replace them. So I think we're kind of fortunate that we were able to catch all that in time. Next one. These are the old filters that were in place. These are the two large ones, and then this is the small one for the catch pool. And as you can see, those they didn't quite fit through that doorway. They were about 1 inch too wide. So for whatever reason, they must have brought the tanks in first and then built the filter building around them. That's the only thing we can figure out. So anyway, the contractor had to take about like a 1 inch notch out of that door opening so that the old ones could come out. The old tank, we cut that apart after we got the sand and concrete out, and you can kind of see all the corrosion that we have there. Next one, please. And then here's where the new ones showed up. And those were all put in through the same door opening that we took the old ones out. On the new filters, we have the piping that you see down here at the bottom. This is actually concrete that they poured at the very bottom there. And then the piping is installed, and then the rest of the tank is filled with sand medium to act as a filtration. At the startup prior to this season, we thought maybe there might be some problems and going through and getting the filters running through the back flushing process, but there wasn't any problems whatsoever. So everything worked out really good. So the contractor did a good job. Next. Here's some of the finished piping connecting all the filters. Next. And then a repeat of the project summary of the change orders and the total contract amount. Any questions?
Thank you. Good job, and it helps to see some of those pictures. Having been in that room underneath the wave pool, you can see the corrosion is pretty aggressive. So, okay, we have a motion on the floor and no further questions to approve the change orders. Ready to vote? Okay, take the roll.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Resolution number 176, 2018, accepting the work as final and complete for the beach renovations Phase 2, Contract D, 2017 project, and authorizing final payment in the amount of $4,692.32. Recommendation: pass and adopt resolution number 176, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Holly. Okay, go ahead, Gene.
The beach Phase 2 renovation consists of separate contracts to address required repairs to the beach at Ottumwa located at 101 Church Street. Contract D consisted of applying a new waterproof coating to the indoor pools, wave pool, and a portion of the kiddie pool. ACO Unlimited of Johnston, Iowa has completed the above referenced work according to the plans and specifications. The final contract amount is $93,846.50. This will authorize final payment and release of all retainage in the amount of $4,692.32. So the final contract amount is $93,846.50. Phase 2 project date, total to date, $692,787.71. And once again, the Cindy engineer has some slides.
Just a few slides. We can be real brief with this. Again, the summary of the work. Unfortunately, this is maintenance work. This is not going to be the final dance for this particular project. You're going to see this again in probably 7 to 10 years. This is the very beginning of the project. You can see here are some of the concrete repairs we made. You can see that different colors in the wall. You know, those are structural concrete repairs we made in the wall. Again here. So you can see this is the finished product after they finished recoating everything. The blue color coat, and then here's the white color coat. And then on the interior pool, this is the way it looked before, and it was filled with water. Then this is after we got the pool drained and before they started working here. That scaffolding back there was for the LED lights that we installed. Then here they're water blasting away and getting everything prepped for the new coating. And then here you have the finished product. Same thing for the training pool, some before and after pictures. 2 change orders on the project and totaling $93,846.50. Any questions?
Any questions for either Dwight or Gene?
Your Honor, I don't have any questions, but I would just add to what the mayor said. It's always nice to have I always have to comment on that because I hope they keep coming. It allows the public to see what's really going on and what we're spending the money on. It looks great. So thanks for doing the slideshows. I appreciate it.
Certainly can see a difference in the coating of the pools. Having been there a couple times recently, it really makes a world of difference to see that. So good job. Okay, ready to vote? Take the roll.
Councilmember Berg? Yes. Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Resolution number 177, 2018, approving change order number 1 and accepting the work as final and complete for the 2018 RFP number 5, Woodshire Drive Patching Project, and approving final pay request in the amount of $5,628.75. Recommendation: pass and adopt resolution number 177, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Go ahead, Dwight.
This project consisted of 8-inch Portland cement patching on Woodshire Drive. Christie Construction was awarded the contract on May 15th, 2018 in the amount of $17,775. Change order number 1 increased the contract amount by $4,740 for quantity adjustments. The contractor has completed the above referenced work according to the request proposals. This will authorize payment and release of all retainages. And on your staff summary in front of you, you can see how the contract broke down, showing the final amount due of $5,628.75.
Any questions for Dwight? If any of you have driven that, you can see a significant change there too. That's okay. All right, let's take the roll.
Councilmember Berg? Yes. Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight.
Resolution number 178, 2018, authorizing the mayor to sign a memorandum of understanding agreement between the city of Ottumwa and Fly Ottumwa LLC for an aviation air show in August 2018 at the Ottumwa Regional Airport. Recommendation: pass and adopt resolution number 178, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. I think, Joni, are you going to cover this? Thank you.
I will, Your Honor, if I may. I'm going to give you a little bit of background, and then I would like to invite Pam Coppins, who's the president of Fly Ottumwa LLC, to the mic to give you kind of some background on their event, and to answer any additional questions you may have regarding this agreement and this air show event. Fly Ottumwa LLC is organizing an air show to be held August 24th, 25th, and 26th, 2018 at the Ottumwa Regional Airport. This resolution allows the city to permit the usage of the airport facilities for this event and approves a memorandum of understanding setting out the obligations of the city and Fly Ottumwa. While the city will not be co-sponsoring this event, the city will utilize its policies on in-kind donations of up to $2,500, such as for police security and fire department response. Overtime expenses for city staff above $2,500 will be paid by the sponsor, Fly Ottumwa LLC. This organization is actively fundraising to cover the expenses for this event. Information regarding the scheduled events and the air show acts being booked may be found on their website and Facebook pages. I met with the Airport Advisory Board this afternoon to allow them to review permitting the event and also approve the agreement. I answered some questions regarding the proposed agreement, and they recommended and voted to approve 2 additional changes to the memorandum of understanding. The first change was I had some language in the agreement that allowed the city to look at their books at any time reasonably requested. And their question was, we don't do this for other events like Ragbri and Oktoberfest. So they suggested a compromise, which I put into the agreement. And what they're going to do is within 30 days of the event, provide us with lien waivers and receipts showing all of the vendors would have been paid for this event. And I believe probably 95% of the vendors' invoices will be paid the final day of the show. So I think that does help cover things for the city. And then the second item that was amended was the insurance, the liability insurance that will be provided for the event. And normally the city requires $1 and $3 million. I had $5 million in the agreement, and they requested that be reduced to the standard $1 and $3. And this will allow them to have some additional funds to purchase rain insurance for the event, which I think may be pretty important for it. That being said, I'll invite Pam to the podium and have her give you a brief review of the event activities and answer any questions regarding sponsorship, et cetera, and fundraising.
Good evening, Pam.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. I love the opportunity to come and talk about something that I'm passionate about. Due to the success, the very successful event, Fly Iowa, last year at our airport, we were able to obtain military support this year, and a small group of us decided that we would undertake having another air show. As you know, Fly Iowa is an organization that promotes aviation in the state, and they award that to different cities every year. And of course, it went to a different city, so we were unable to use the name Fly Iowa, so that's why it's called Fly Ottumwa. So in putting a spreadsheet together, we decided that we would undertake this, and knowing that the last 2 years, 2016 with RAGBRAI funds that were raised, and then 2017 with the funds that were raised for Fly Iowa, we felt that it would be next to impossible to put on a free event that would sustain itself and that businesses would have to absorb. So with that in mind, we have come up with a formula that we think will enable us to raise sponsorship money, plus we're going to charge a gate fee. And the gate fee will be $10 per person, or you will be able to buy a weekend pass for $15. That means that you could attend all 3 events. And then children 12 and under will be free. Also, there'll be no parking fees, so they'll only have that one fee. With the combination of that and sponsorship money, we believe we can cover the cost. This is a very expensive event to put on. Just as an FYI, just to have the pilots and the planes without any other expenses over $100,000. So you can imagine what the total will be. I want to run through just the event really quick. The FAA has projected in the year 2026 that there will be a pilot shortage of 650,000. So with that in mind, we look at this as an opportunity to talk to our young people in the community. So we have put together what is called the Legacy Education Day. And Legacy Foundation is helping sponsor this. And we have invited high school students from either 17 or 18 high schools in the area to send high school students to the airport on Friday, August 24th. As to date, it's being very well received. We have 61 students just alone attending from OHS. And what we will do when they arrive is we will have them in and send them around to different pods. And these pods will talk about their role in aviation. They will start off with the NAS and the history of aviation in our community. They will meet Kyle Franklin, one of our stunt pilots who will be assembling his plane. We will have a corporate jet with the corporate pilots so that they can talk to them about what those opportunities look like. They will meet Susan Dacey, which is one of the very only few women stunt pilots with a steerman in our country. She's also a pilot for American Airlines for the 777. They will have an opportunity to visit with her. They will meet the team with the A-10, that flight team. They will have lunch. We'll feed them lunch in the hangar and have pizza, and they will be able to engage with different people involved in the air show. They will receive their own private air show. And then after that, we will bus them over to the Indian Hills Flight School, and from the maintenance to the pilot program, they'll be exposed to all of those opportunities. When we are done, we're putting a 16-page full-color brochure together for them that will it will have everything that they have witnessed that day, so that they're taking something back with them. And hopefully they're excited and they want to bring their families back for the night air show. But this is our attempt to engage with young people and get them involved and showcase the Indian Hills Aviation School. We move on to Friday night, which is a night air show similar to what we had last year. But we're also going to have a music festival, and that will be located out close to the runway. And we have 4 bands that will be performing that night, plus an act called the Flaunt Girls. And the Flaunt Girls are on national TV. They do kind of a Circus Soleil with ropes and, you know, just acrobatic acts. So all of that will be directed by our air boss. We have the same air boss and the same announcer that we had last year. If you were at the air show, you know how wonderful they were. They are actually the very best in the country. At the same time that all of this is going on, Wednesday through Sunday, we have the jet rally that will be happening in conjunction with the AMA, the American Model Association. They will, if you saw the jets, there's one out in front of City Hall right now. And but they're approximately 12 feet long. They fly 200 miles per hour. It's quite a spectacle. Last year we charged $20 for a pit pass. This year we're going to charge $5. They'll be set up under tents, and people will have the opportunity to take their families, go down, and engage with that. We have over 100 pilots coming from all across the country. We have a pilot coming from Saudi Arabia that is spending $4,000 just to ship his plane here so he can fly for our event. Our event is top notch in the whole country. We have really put Ottumwa on the map with this. And so that will be happening periodically. It won't be happening during the air show, but the other times they'll be flying, and it's wonderful that the community can come out and you can either sit and watch it or you can really engage with it. So then we'll have the music festival and the night air show. On Saturday, we have a number of activities going with a kids zone. We're enhancing that. There's the Lions Pancake Breakfast on both Saturday and Sunday. The air show starts at 1 on both Saturday and Sunday. With Saturday evening, we are not doing entertainment because we learned last year that this is such a family event that after the air show and the families, they went home. And so we did not elect to put more money into something that has low attendance. And but we do have the pilot's dinner that will happen in the Keck hangar, and we will have approximately 350. That will be all of the jet rally pilots and our stunt show pilots and all of our sponsors invited to that. And that's a lovely steak dinner. Last year, I might tell you that when I attended the Sunday morning pilot briefing, which happens 2 hours before the air show, they came in and they were like, whoa, normally we get hot dogs. So they were really impressed that it was a great steak dinner. But it's a nice opportunity for sponsors to be able to engage and network with the pilots. And then we will wrap it up on Sunday with the air show at 1 o'clock. So that's an overview. Bob gave you a packet that has the economic impact for Ottumwa from last year's air show, plus just a kind of recap of what's happening. I can tell you that right now our hotels are sitting at more than 85% occupancy. I mean, they are filling up. We're going to run out of hotel rooms for this event, and that's a great thing. I'll wrap it up by letting you know that the sponsorship endeavor is going very well. In all the years that I've raised money for different events, I've never had people call me and say, I want to give. I have an ex-Air Force retired pilot who called me one day and said, my name is Dwight McIntyre, and I'm retired from the Air Force, and my wife and I would like to donate $1,000. And I was almost blown away. That just doesn't happen. But it did happen, and he also included that he would be bringing a number of his Air Force buddies that are coming down from North Dakota. So this event hopefully will attract all of our local families, but we are reaching out to about a 3-hour radius around Ottumwa. We have Blackbird Investments. They are a major sponsor. Friday, it will be called Night Flight, powered by Blackbird. They are sponsoring the whole Friday evening. The mayor and I went to JBS today. They are a major sponsor. They will be doing their second annual employee picnic, and things are going very well. So we're very hopeful that we're going to knock it out of the park and put on the premier event for Ottumwa. Any questions?
Any questions? No comments?
Your Honor, I got a comment
Sure.
here. First off, this is exciting. This is amazing. And I want to personally thank yourself, the Airport Advisory Board, of course, Mayor Lazio, and all those that are involved in putting together something like this. Just by looking at your schedule here, this looks like a nightmare to try to choreograph all this stuff together. So hats off to doing it. And I want to say I was there last year and didn't really know what to expect, but I think think my mouth dried out from having it open, stuck up watching all those planes fly by sideways and stuff. It was amazing. And then one final thought, what's really neat about what you guys have put forward here is the education day. That is amazing. And of course, our young people, I always, enjoyed, aviation when I was younger. And that's amazing. Whoever had that idea, hats off to them, because that's an important part of this whole thing, especially when there's going to be a shortage of pilots, according to the FAA. But again, personal thank you to all those involved. I know it's no easy task. I'm sure it's frustrating sometimes, but it looks amazing. And of course, I'll be there again this year. And job well done. Thank you for putting this together for our city.
I appreciate your comments, and it is a small group of people working very hard, and but we're driven because we're proud of our airport, and we recognize the opportunities and the potential of what can happen. Plus, we're proud of our heritage, and with the Naval Air Station, we will be doing a ceremony to do a dedication in March. They celebrated their 75th year that the airbase was dedicated, so we'll be doing something to celebrate that. And there's a lot of other things, but I didn't want to take up too much time.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you, Pam. We appreciate the update and all your hard work and the committee that's helping out. We do have a motion on the floor, and it's been made and seconded to approve the recommendation.
Mr. Mayor, I just have a question, if we could, before you call for that vote. Just out of curiosity, then, going back to that item number 2 that was changed, all books, records, and bank accounts payments should be subject to inspection by the city upon request, and that's being replaced with lien waivers and payment information. Could you attended that meeting, could you provide some perspective as to why that provision is going to be removed?
Well, I think the conclusion of the committee was, and I think Don Lawson is here. He could certainly speak to it as chair of the committee. We really felt that this was a separation of government and private industry or private business, that we don't routinely request all the other organizations to open their entire set of books. We certainly want to be accountable, and I think the fact that the Item 3 says we will comply with all state and federal regulations and be responsible. We're happy to answer, and I think that we had an individual who does work with the federal government on FEMA projects, that this was right out of their arrangement, that when they do a major project, you close out the project within 30 days and provide proof that you have paid all the appropriate bills. And the person that gets the check has to sign this lien waiver, and that's notarized so that we know that they've taken care of their obligation. I think it does protect the city and provide the same security that we were hoping to do, because again, this would set a precedent for not only for the Fly Iowa or Fly Ottumwa people, but it would open up a situation for other organizations that would have to then provide their entire financial record if it was, for example, the Oktoberfest, or if it's the Kitty Parade from South Ottumwa, or if it's balloon races, because they're all using city property, and we have liability in all those incidences. So I think this was a compromise. It seemed to be, again, members of the airport board were very, I thought, engaged and did a good job of discussing, and Joni did a good job of presenting the options. So this was acceptable to the committee, and we felt that this was a reasonable change.
Well, Mayor, the only reason I asked that is because, lien waivers and payments, essentially, that memorializes, satisfies a payment that has been made and been received. And as I recall, we had similar language in this with the RAGBRAI event. That's the only reason I was asking as to why this language would have been modified in this instance and not, as I said, 2 years ago.
Anybody else want to comment?
No, Your Honor, I think the agreement looks good. I think sometimes we can go too far in detail and have too much protection. I think this securely protects the city, and I certainly want to keep having events in this town, and certainly wouldn't want to keep that from letting us have fun. So it has my support.
I too agree. I think what we changed today covers this. I'm not an attorney by any means, but we had our city attorney there, And I think it covers it, and I think we're well covered.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, so the motion's been made and seconded. Any other comments before we go ahead? Let's take the roll then.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Thank you. Communications, petitions, communications. I just make a comment this morning. I attended on behalf of the city the funeral for Ruth Syme. I think the city lost a very strong supporter of this community, and most people know that Mrs. Syme was an outstanding music teacher for a number of years here in the community, but she also served on our cemetery board and has been a good volunteer at the Bridgeview Center. So we'll miss her, and we want to offer our support and condolences to her family. Are there any items, anybody in the audience that wants to address an item not on the agenda? This is a chance to step up and give us your, Jeff, come on back up.
Okay, for the record again, I am Jeff Salter, live at 509 Clarence, my wife and I. Sparsely populated area. Our street is not paved, it's not blacktopped, but the maintenance on it of late has been lax, to say the least. I will say the street department was up there the other day, brought a road grader and kind of redistributed materials that are there, silt and such. In the past, the city has dumped rock, and I know you can't oil anymore, but they dumped the rock, flatten that out, and they put something on there, whether they do in the countryside, whether it's tree sap or whatever, a little sand on that. And then what you have with that is basically blacktop when they're done. And I think that as far as repairs to other streets in town, that we're pretty much a cheap date. If I could just get the city to do something there other than redistribute what's there. As soon as it rains hard again, this dirt stuff they pushed around, it's going to go down the hill. Also as well, in the past, I think that they've ditched on it would be the east side of the street. It'd be directly across from my house and down the hill. And that helps to facilitate the drainage, and so that parts of the street do not erode as much. There again, we pay taxes just like everybody else. I know money's tight, but there again, if you do this simple fix, then it lasts for quite some time. And we do have the police department, the fire department, the city, the waterworks, sanitation department, neighbors, you name it, coming up and down the street all the time. And so there are times when they're literally at peril. We had a burglary at my house first time in 30 years last year. It was quite a deal. And the police department were there and responded. They were fantastic. But I seriously, was concerned about their safety just walking down the street. So if I could please get some input on this and say, okay,
Mr. Mayor,
what can you do for everybody?
I asked what street I didn't catch that.
It's Clarence.
I think we can ask city public works director to take a look at that and come back to the council with some direction or some approach. I think a year ago, Larry and I may have gone out and actually driven it, and it was pretty rough then. So
yeah,
we'll ask him to take a look at that.
Yeah, when they grade the thing, it looks kind of okay for a while, but actually, too, the grader, what they've done is kind of chipped up some of that old surface that I was referring to. That makes a nice street for very little.
Okay. All right.
If you would, please. Thank you.
We'll make a note of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience that wants to address anything? Chief, I might ask if you would tell us about the power outage at the law center this past week and where we're at with that based on, I've had a number of people ask questions about that, and I appreciate your updating Andy and me about that the day it happened.
Okay. Yeah, last week we had a power outage. I think it was some lightning, according to our city cameras. We saw some ground lightning to the west of the police department. It did knock out our power. Our generator kicked on. We have a backup generator that sits outside of there in the parking lot. What we found out was that the generator was putting too much electricity into the building. So over a period of about an hour, we started losing different equipment in the building. So what we determined is that there was just too much electricity coming into the building. So whatever's in there is protecting the building from being overloaded, and it just started shutting everything down. Basically, we called the city electricians. We called the generator company. They sent someone down right away. We had a local electrician show up, and he looked at the generator for us. He was able to tell us what he thought was wrong with it. He communicated with the company that takes care of the generator. They brought the right parts, and they had it up and running in a short amount of time, probably 3 hours. In the meantime, as soon as we knew our generator was malfunctioning, we started going into Plan C and D, which involved us bringing up a generator from Homeland Security, the EMA office. We pulled it in the parking lot just in case it was going to be an extended period. But we were pretty confident. Alliance usually pretty quick. Or I'm sorry, the guys that they contract to come out on these incidents, and they had us up running within 2 hours. So there's a lot of chaos around the department because we didn't know how long that was going to last. I do compliment the electricians. They came up with small generators, and we ran it actually through the front door of the PD and through the little box there with dispatch to get lights and our phones back up. I will note that when this happens, our 911 goes down. Cell phone 911s automatically go to Mahaska County. So if you call 911 and we don't answer, you're going to be answered by dispatchers in Mahaska County, who then takes your information and calls back to us on a different line, and so we can dispatch out officers. So basically, it was a little chaotic around the department for a while, but we did fine.
Good. Okay. Any questions or comments for the chief? Just, I think it's good that the public is aware that you responded appropriately and were able to continue operating in spite of the act of nature. You have no control over that. So, okay. Any other comments? Yes, Victor.
Yeah, I guess I said this in the winter, but we've had a really hot spring, and just want citizens to be cognizant of their pets suffering and being out in the heat. If we're all uncomfortable, your dogs and cats are probably more uncomfortable, and just generally taking more care with your children and yourselves and families of being cognizant of the heat and the amount of time spent out in it. I know it's outdoor time, but just be aware that extra hydration is important for both your animals and for you. Thanks.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Anything else for the council? Okay. All right. If nothing else, then I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
And I have 6:47.